In today's video, I'm going to show you how I design and create my own custom 3D prints. For example, I have a gate bracket that is busted and I need to fix. So I'm going to take you along with me and show you exactly how I do that. So stay tuned. So the first thing I do is I make a sketch. That way I can get my measurements. Now, if you have the piece in front of you like I do, I could just pull measurements off of that. So I really don't need to sketch it up to get my measurements. But if you don't have that luxury, then you're going to need to do some kind of sketch. That way you have an idea of what your measurements are. All right, so here we are in Tinkercad. And I'm just going to use Tinkercad because it's easier. It'll probably be easier because this is basically just a couple of different shapes. So first thing I'll do is go up to the top here and give it a name. And I'll just put gate bracket. Now, when I'm actually doing this, it's best if I can have the actual part and like a pair of calipers. And I like to do a quick design just so I can get basic measurements. Now, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start with this body part here, the main piece. To start off, because the body is kind of a square and rectangulish with rounded ends, if I were to just use, let's say, the circle, and I typed in, what was my measurements? 30.5 by 69 millimeters, like that. You'll notice that that does not look the same. On the actual print part, these ends, these curls would be way more pointed. So instead of doing that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with the square, and I'm just going to take and I'm going to measure. So I'm going to measure out 30 inches by 38. This says 38.2. I'm just going to go 38. So it's 30 by 38. So I'm going to go 38 by 30. And then for my depth, I'm going to do the entire thing and I'll do my cutout later. And I'm also on this, as you can see, this had like the square here that stopped here, and then it kind of rounded up. But this also broke. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a complete block on it. I might round the edges of it, but I'm not gonna go in and then up like that and then come down. I'm basically gonna come up and round the whole thing just to give this more meat. That way, hopefully it doesn't break again. So there's that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure from here to there. And I'm getting 14.5. So 14.5, that's 28, 29. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my circle out. Another thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a bunch of sides to it so that I can smooth it out. And I'm going to go 30 by 30. And the reason why I got that number 30 by 30 is because when I measured when I measured from here to here, I got 14.5. So 14 plus 14 is 28. 5 and plus 1, we're going to give a half. A half and half is 1. So 28 plus 1 is 30. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, I'm going to stick this on here like so. And you can kind of see that we're starting to get this shape, this roundedness here. What I'm also going to do is I'm going to inline these perfectly in line like that. I might also line it. Let me see. Yeah, that's probably going to be my best bet. And then what I'll do is I'll just take and duplicate this, and I'll drop this down and line the whole thing. And that looks pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and group that. And then now I can go ahead, get my thickness, which is 7.5. So I can click on this and go 7.5. So that's going to give us, it's going to give us basically this piece here. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to just get a block, and I'm going to go We go 38 by 30. So I'll do 38 on this one. 38 by 30. And then I'm going to bring this roughly over to where it needs to go. I'm going to inline this way and this way. And so now we are starting to work on that. Our depth is going to be, we'll say 28. 28. Bring this back over. And then before I actually group these together and align and everything, I'm going to bevel these edges, the radius, so that they're not real sharp. Then I will go ahead, inline this way, inline, oh, okay. So I make sure it's aligned centered. It looks like it is. Go ahead and group that. So now, as you see, we have the basic shape of this. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start working on my center hole. So from the bottom to where it needs to go, because this is important, I'm going to measure from here to here, which is a measurement that I actually didn't take on my sheet. So like I said, it's nice to be able to have the part here. So it's actually 17 millimeters from the very back, bottom base here to where my hole needs to go up here. And then our hole is 8 millimeters, which I might go 8.5, 8.25. So let's go 8. We'll go 8 by 8. Another thing I can do is I can measure the post that it's going to go in. And if the post is, let's say the post is like 7, and I'm measuring this at 8, that gives me a full millimeter to kind of work with, which isn't a whole lot, but in tolerances, it is. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just gonna grab this guy and set this off to the side for right now because I need to get my depth. I need to get my depth just right for this hole. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put this at a 90 where it needs to be. Set this off to here. I'm just gonna grab a block like this, and we decided that our measurement for the beginning of it is 17 inches. So this is just the way that I do it. I'm gonna go ahead here and I'm gonna type in 17 inches. Then I'm gonna bring this over here. I'm going to bring it up to where it just barely touches it. Like that. To where it's just barely touching it. Then I can go ahead. I can get rid of that. This is the height I need it to be. Which, let's take this. Let's align it. Dead center. Just like that. I wish it had more on top, but I also have to watch that I'm not interfering with the gate. And the stress on this is going to be going downwards, and it's also going to be going side to side. I mean, there is going to be stress. There will be stress on this front part, but I'm hoping that this is thick enough to where it'll be fine with that. I might print this with 100% infill as well. That way, it's just one solid block of plastic. So the next thing I'm going to do is, which I should have done this before, but I'm going to get my depth for the hole. Let me zero this out. I'm going to take this like so. I'm just going to drop this down. So it's 34.5. So what I did was I took this, I stuck it on top, and dropped it down until it met the bottom. So what I will do is I'm going to go 34.5. Okay, because this is basically my depth gauge. So let's go hole. Let's click on this, shift, click on that, group them together. Now I can do it just like that. make sure that they're perfectly aligned, and group them together. So there's that. The next piece I'm going to work on is the holes, which they are, I think, 4 millimeters. We'll go 4.5. So we'll go 4. Oh, where's it? 4.5, 4.5, and I'll leave it long like that because that's not going to matter. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out exactly where in here I need it to be. I'm going to drop it down like so, duplicate it. We'll get these guys roughly where they need to be because these actually don't matter. This is just to mount it to the wall. So as long as they're centered or, it doesn't, these don't really matter. Whereas the other hole that goes through absolutely matters because that depth is where the rod goes in for the gate to swivel. So that does matter. These don't matter. So make sure that they're both going down. I'm going to take this whole thing. I'm going to align them so that they're centered. I want to make sure that they're roughly about the right space. So let me take this guy. Just going to bring it out a little bit because I want to make sure that my drill bit is going to have room clearance to get past that block. So I'm going to do the same thing with this. I don't want it to be too short though. How's that looking? It's looking all right. Again, I'm going to make sure, I'm going to check it to make sure they are aligned, which they are. Then I'm going to go ahead and group everything together like that. I am going to put a little bit of a bevel in this as well. So I'm going to take this cone here and I want to add as many sides to it to make it smooth. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do 180, just like that. I'm going to, we'll go 10 millimeters here, 10 here, bring this down just a touch, and then I'm going to bring it over here just like this. I'm going to drop it down in, and then I'm going to turn this guy like that. I say, let's go ahead and get a closer look at that. Let's drop it down. And so this is looking pretty good. Okay with that. The next thing I'm going to do is make this hole. That's solid. Like that. Duplicate it. This one over here. Something like that. Like so. That still looks good. Home this. Oh, that's looking pretty good. And I'm going to group the whole thing. So now I have my bevels. I have my. I'm actually going to bevel this as well. So I'm going to take this, bring this down. I'm going to go 15 by 15 just to make it a little smaller. And that's not too bad. So I'm going to 90 this, bring it on up, bring it on over. That's a little much. So let me take this. Another thing I want to do too is I want to see how much distance I have here to make sure I have enough meat around this thing that it's not going to easily snap off. Again, I am going to print this probably with 100% infill. Make sure that my sides are all the way up. That way it's nice and smooth. And it's not looking too bad. Let's give it just a little more. Now I can make this whole, this solid. Group it together. And there we go. Now, if I wanted to, I could cut these down, which I might go back and do. Um, I could do something like this, bring this guy over, 90 it, let's go 10 millimeters by 10 millimeters. Make it real long, bring it up, bring it over, bring it up. Let's take a look at that. Let's see. Just kind of doing this real quick just to show you. But I could do something like this, you know, which I might do. I might, again, what kind of do like that. Because I do want to make sure that when the gate is swinging, it's not hitting these edges. So I would say, you know what, let me just give it a little more oomph. So I'm gonna go like that. So I got a good thickness here, good thickness there. Now I have a good thickness around this thing. So from here, I want to figure out what is the best orientation to print this thing that's going to give it the most strength.
I feel the gravity pull and it keeps me away. I would rather be here, lonely in space. I've made up my mind, I just wanna be free. I live my own life in a new galaxy. I wanna be weightless in the silence of the night sky. I wanna free fall into nothing at all. I'm taking the moment, starting all over. I wanna be free and live my own life in a new galaxy. I live my own life in a new galaxy. I can feel the memories fade.